Alright, story time. Today, I'm going to tell you guys how I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed March 21st, 3 years ago. Before then, I had no idea what the heck was going on with me. I know prior to when I got diagnosed in 2016, I was having just like this feeling something was wrong with me. And I kept going back to the hospital and said, something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. No, I didn't have any symptoms at that time. So, of course, doctors were looking at me like I was crazy. And that was from 2014 through 2015. 2015, I started, I think it was in the summertime, which I was actually out and about and walking a lot. I started to have these fainting spells and was rushed to the hospital multiple times. There was one time I literally just left Starbucks and fell out right in front of their establishment. They called the ambulance and I had to go to the hospital, but they didn't know why, so they blamed it on dehydration. But I wasn't dehydrated. Um, and then the other thing was I moved, and in the process of moving, uh, it started happening again. It escalated to the point of me passing out while I was sitting down, like laying in bed. Um, and I would also have shakes or seizures with it. Um, I'm not epileptic. They couldn't find any brain activity, um, any reasoning for the seizures happening. Um, so they send me back and they're like, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Go to a neurologist. Went to a neurologist. Neurologist told me everything was fine. They can't understand why it's happening. So they couldn't prescribe anything for me. And at the time, the only thing, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, the only thing that was actually helping was I was smoking marijuana. And I would never have any episodes while I was smoking marijuana. One day, it was almost 100 degrees. I think it was like 99 and probably felt like 103 degrees. And I was drinking because there was, a party. However, I was also keeping up with my fluids because, I was drinking. And it wasn't like any straight chase thing. I dilute my drinks because I'm girly. So yeah, I ended up passing out. And as a matter of fact, I remember this, I passed out in McDonald's and I literally got to the register. I ordered 2 large orange juices because I wanted to maintain on drinking fluids. And the next thing I know, everything like flipped upside down. And I remember opening my eyes and the paramedics were there. They were asking me if I was pregnant if I could possibly be pregnant. And I'm just like, no, like, what is going on? I don't understand. And of course, I was a long way from home, and because I moved, I didn't have health insurance set up. And so I didn't want to go to the hospital because where I was at was literally like an hour-ish away from home, which was a completely different town from where I lived, and I didn't want to be, and also a different county. So I didn't want to do that. So I ended up just, you know what, I'm just gonna go home. Um, and of course, that's what I told the paramedics. But you know, we were in the middle of going to an event, so we went to the event anyway. I did not pass out afterwards. I kind of like took it slow. I stopped drinking. I started drinking more water. Um, we shook it off again. And then it started happening sporadically at home. I would be cooking and I would be cooking something, and the next thing I know, I'm on the floor in the kitchen, and I have no idea why. I would be washing dishes or making the bed or taking a shower or using the bathroom, finishing using the bathroom, walking, you know, back to the room or to the living room and passing out. Uh, and then the last time it happened that they finally diagnosed me with something, I was I was walking to work in a bike lane, um, and I ended up passing out. And I worked what they consider that third shift or first shift. It was really early morning. I had to be there, I think, at 6 in the morning. This is like 3 years ago, y'all. Like, bear with me. Um, I had to work. Um, I think 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to be there, so I was out in that bike lane like 5ish in the morning. Someone found me laying out, and you know, it was completely dark. Um, and because it was completely dark, people driving, yeah. So because it was dark, and you know, people were driving because there was also like this. I think it was like the 2-lane road. There was one little plaza, a 2-lane road, and then you would cross the 2-lane road to get to the bike lane in order to walk to Walmart. So I was probably 2 feet into the bike lane, just laid out. Um, all I remember is that I was walking, um, and I was doing this routine for about 2-ish months, and I felt myself like, man, I'm like really tired. I'm really tired. And then my heart was racing so much. My chest started hurting. And then I felt like I literally had like an apple or something sitting like on my chest, and like, or even sometimes I describe it as like someone like squeezing the heck out of my heart. And I couldn't like breathe. And I don't remember anything else after that. And this person that was riding his bike found me. He apparently didn't even have a phone. He used my own phone to call the paramedics, and I was completely out of it the whole time. Even when the paramedics came and was talking to me, I couldn't. I was not responsive. Um, I couldn't even get to thank that person that helped me. And if I could ever even meet that person again, I would really thank them, because I could have died. Um, the next day, uh, well, moving on, like into the hospital, they ran EKG. So they put a whole bunch of stickers on me. Like, people don't know what EKG is. They put a whole bunch of stickers on me in places, in my legs, in my arm. I think my arms, my chest, and they do like a scan. And what it does is like it scans your heart. They ran it the first time and they're like, something's up with your heart rhythm. It's not right. So they waited an hour and they took it again. It still came out the same. They waited another hour and they took it again. Like, okay, something's wrong. We are not understanding why, your heart is, the way it is. So what they did was they sent over, or they got in contact with the doctor a couple towns over, and they spoke to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist was like, send me the paperwork. I want to see what it is. What does it look like? What did you guys do? What test did you run? The doctor asked for specific blood work, BNP, and they sent that over to him too. So once all that was transferred over and he took a look at everything, he said, I think I know what's going on. I need you to send that patient to me. However, they didn't have a bed. So they requested a bed and they were going to have a bed the following, actually in a couple hours, which turned into like 6 hours. And whoever stays in the hospital knows it's a wait of hell. So yeah, I had to stay in there longer. And once they finally got the bed open, the paramedics came to transfer me. I went over there, and then they scheduled a whole bunch of other tests that they had to do. They scheduled a right heart catheterization. And the right heart cath is an internal procedure where I hate them so much to this day because it's so painful afterwards. It's uncomfortable during. They don't completely sedate you because they need to see how the pressures in your heart are working while you're awake. So they usually, do I have my scar still? Okay, you see this little thing here? See that little dot there? That is an entry point. So they go in through a vein. They use like this little, they go in with a needle, but the needle is covered with like a tube of some sort, and they push it in. And they start pushing it in, and they also have like an ultrasound on the side so they can see what's going on the inside. So they start pushing it through, and once they get to a certain point, I'm not sure if like they pump it or they hit a button or something, or they just see how the pressures actually push that tubing, and they measure the pressures. Because there were at that time, I didn't need oxygen, so they went ahead, took the pressures. I think they take it 2 or 3 times just to make sure, to see what range it is, and they take like the mean, which they add it all together and they average it out, and then they take it out and they cover me up and we move forward. That procedure runs, I don't know, it feels like forever, but I think it's probably like an hour or so. Don't quote me on times, but but yeah, it's a pretty long procedure. You cannot eat beforehand or anything like that. Leading to this procedure, okay, before I could even get the procedure, I was transferred. I got there, they gave me the bed, and, I had a rough day. I just wanted to take a shower and wind down and just relax. I was going through a lot. So I requested a shower. Um, they had me in a yellow gown and yellow socks. Every hospital is different, but that is when, the patient is a fall risk. Um, and not necessarily like I'm flimsy and I could fall, but I can pass out at any time, or sometimes patients that their blood pressure runs low or stuff like that, or they just may need assistance off the bed. But for me, I passed out a lot, and they wanted to take precautions, so I took my call light and I hit it, and I told them I wanted to shower, and they unhooked me off the heart monitor because they had me on a heart monitor. And I walked over to the bathroom, and immediately I felt lightheaded. And I had the nurse like probably right outside, not outside the bathroom, but outside my room, but close enough that she could hear me. But still, I pulled it because I didn't know if she was distracted. So I pulled the help me wire thing in the bathroom that you see in hospitals. I pulled it, and she comes in and she's like, "Are you alright?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm going to pass out." I didn't even know if I was going to pass out, but I felt like I was. I didn't know what was going on. Maybe I was freaking out. That's what I thought at the moment. And now I'm 5'3" because I shrunk an inch. But at the time, I think I was 5'4", and this lady was like 4'11" or something. She was smaller than me, and I'm a big girl. She was very thin. And I said, "I'm going to fall." And she's like, "No, you're not." And she walks up to me, and I don't remember anything. All I remember is like literally falling over like on top of her. And from there, what I remember is bits and pieces of a whole bunch of people around me. Someone was calling code blue. Someone was pushing on my chest. I couldn't breathe. Someone was pumping oxygen or those little things on me. And I blacked out again. And then when I woke up, the lady that I fell on was holding my hand the whole time. I'm sorry, y'all. She was holding my hand the whole time, and she was telling me, she was like, "I didn't want to let you go. I told you I was going to be here for you, and I didn't let you go. And they wanted me to leave, but I didn't want to let you go." And they told me that I stopped breathing completely on my own, and they had to resuscitate me. So I came back from the dead initially, and a couple hours later, like once they put me back in bed, they told me that they didn't want me getting up, so I had to use the damn pan, the bed pan, when I had to use the bathroom. So at that time, I felt humiliated. I felt vulnerable. I felt so many things. I just didn't know what the heck was wrong with me. And leading up, a couple hours later, I did the heart cath. And then I came back, and immediately after the heart cath, they did echo, which is an echocardiogram, which is a scan of the heart. So they have you like lay on your side, on your back. They check the top of your chest and underneath as well to like take images of your heart. And after all that, the doctor came in, and by this time, my mom was already aware that I was in the hospital, and she was coming in, and she was like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" The sheriff went to go get my mom and was banging on the door. My mom was scared out of her freaking mind. She was like, "What's going on? Why is there somebody banging on my door at like 6 something in the morning?" So yeah, when she finally got a chance to get to me, she got to me, and literally probably half an hour later, the doctor was coming in to tell me my results and to tell me that I have pulmonary arterial hypertension, and that the way my heart looked and the pressures were so high that it looked like I had about 3 years left. And that was when I got diagnosed. That was 3 years ago. So I made my 3-year mark, and I did a few things, and I'm not sure if they're affecting my health right now. Those few things are 2 children. When I got diagnosed, I was not pregnant. Some people are either older. I got diagnosed when I was 21. I'm 24 now, and the doctor told me that I couldn't have any kids. It wasn't recommended, that it would be fatal. That sat with me for a couple months, very difficult to hear. I kept looking at the day, kept looking at the time. I kept having, fainting spells, and every time I would close my eyes and I couldn't breathe, I felt like it was the last breath I was going to take. So for me, the last thing that I wanted to do was to continue my lineage. And so I took it upon myself to go against doctor's orders and bear a child anyway. I knew the risk, and I wanted to do it anyway because I felt like I really needed to do this. And when that happened, they told me I was supposed to die delivering, and I did not. My health was pretty bad. I had to stay in the hospital almost a month after I delivered her. And I delivered her 2017, February 19th. So almost my 1-year mark. And from then on, I immediately got birth control because, I knew that I was going to keep doing the same thing. I mean, one was enough for me. And then I got pregnant on the Mirena, which is a whole nother story. That's a whole nother video. Obviously, I survived that pregnancy, and he's 7 months now, but my health is spiraling down, and I need oxygen, I didn't need oxygen before. And they were titrating my medication up, and that's not working. So we're trying to figure out what's the next step. Because I'm not sure if my pressures are high enough to get a transplant, or any procedure at this time, or if they are high enough, what the wait time would be for that transplant and what transplant I would need. So that's my story time. I think I will make a separate video on like each of my pregnancies. The first pregnancy I had a girl, and the second pregnancy I had a boy. So I'll probably do that. If you do have pulmonary hypertension and you feel alone, you can feel free to comment and message me or try to reach out to me, because I know how lonely it feels, especially when you may not have oxygen and people just look at you like, you look fine, you look normal, you're not sick. And then you pass out in front of them and they freak out and they don't know what to do. I know how that feels. So I'm not vlogging just to tell my story. I'm vlogging to start a community, because on YouTube there is not a lot of people talking about their stories, and I'm not forcing people to talk about their stories, but when someone recently finds out about this, they want to do all the research, they want to see people and what they're going through, or they're going through something and they just want to feel like, okay, I'm not the only one going through this, I'm not alone, someone else understands. Okay, so I'm all ears. I'm going to keep smiling. I'm still alive. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. Feel free to ask any questions about anything, and I would start putting up videos answering those questions. See ya. Mwah.